Hello folks, welcome to Lexi IAS Academy. In this video, we'll be discussing a current affair topic presented to you by a faculty Sushma KP. Let's see what is the topic that we will be discussing. What is section 67 of the IT Act of 2000? In this video, we will be seeing as to why is it news, what is the relevance of the UPSC, that is the GS paper 2 as well as the GS paper 3. We will also be looking into what laws are there that is governing obscenity. We will also be seeing certain specific sections of your IT Act of 2000. Alright, let's get the video started. Look at this. The Indian judiciary is no stranger to hearing cases about works or actions of public figures being labeled obscenes. What are the laws governing obscenity in online content, and how do courts determine if a piece of media is obscene or not? All of this we will be addressing in the course of the video. First, let's understand what happened recently. A comedy show was aired by the name India's Got Latent. The host of the show was Assam Raina. Alongside this, another member was your Ranveer Allahbadia, who is a YouTuber who makes podcast on a channel called as BeerBiceps. He went ahead and asked a question to one of the contestants. He asked a question to the contestant. That question, whatever he asked, is what is now the area of contention, where certain section of people are claiming that it is a joke. The other section are claiming that this is pure obscenity. Now your Mumbai Police are yet to launch an FIR against both of these people, whereas your Assam Police has registered an FIR on both the host as well as Ranveer under your section 296 of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita of 2023. So now we will see is what is the laws that govern obscenity. See, understand this way, your courts, judiciary, if it takes up cases, be it in your online medium or offline medium or publications, when it is asked with the question whether this particular publication or whether this particular act or whether this particular comment or whether this particular representation is obscene or not, follows a particular set of procedure as to how to determine whether obscene or not. Let's see first what the laws are, then let's see how the Supreme Court is determining that. One thing is your section 294 that we have. Section 294 of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita tells that anyone who sells, imports, exports, advertises or profits from obscene material will be punished, such as what are the forms? Books, paintings, figures, and also display of any content in electronic form. This includes both your online content as well as offline content. Understanding? And also they have a punishment wherein they tell that if the person who has committed this happens to be, let's say, a first time offender, then that person will either have jail term up to 2 years or a fine up to 5,000 rupees. One of the main ways that they are claiming here, what will constitute to obscene means anything that has puritant interests, which means which invokes certain sort of feelings of arousal. Now, one main thing is these kind of obscene things. One question let's ask. We all say yes, freedom of speech, expression, etc. are there. That is there for almost all the democracies, at least on paper. So when we say freedom of speech in democracy, should, let's say, either the legislations, lawmaking, government, or judiciary, should they control these things in the form of obscene materials? The answer to this is, see, your courts and your legislation, lawmaking, expert committees, your civil society, everyone are claiming is these obscene materials are not just things that are going to be having an impression on young minds, but also one of the major things is for anyone who has already impure thoughts, who is already in this kind of mindset, who is already very lusty, who is already having this kind of Puritan interest, it impacts them most. And they end up committing these kind of crimes. See, in India, there is a ban of child pornography. Yes or no? And also, there is any content, circulation, possession of child pornography is again punishable. Why are they doing this obscene material? It comes under. And also one more thing is, it is not just affecting the young impressionable minds, but the most thing is already the ones which are having these impure thoughts, already the ones which are having these Puritan thoughts will be more affected and end up committing these kind of crimes more. So it is one way of trying to keep the society in check from this kind of issues becoming more and more. Understanding? Now, this also includes electronic form, right? But there is one more thing. That is your section 67 of the Information Technology Act of 2000, wherein it says that publishing or transmitting of obscene material online will be punishable. And one more thing is, this more specifically deals with your online content. Another main thing is the definition of obscene here is same like how we saw in the previous case. Puritan interests, that is, anyone who sells, imports, exports, advertises, or profits from such acts will be considered, or any acts that leads to Puritan interests is considered as an obscene act. That the same definition is retained here also. The definition of obscene act is retained here also. Now we saw there is no much difference from previous one on section 67. Then what is the difference here? One main difference is in the type of punishment or the severity of the punishment. There I told you in previous case, they can be punished up to 2 years of jail term or 5,000 rupees for first time offender. But in here, according to section 67 of Information Technology Act of 2000, it says that jail term up to 3 years or fine up to 5 lakh rupees for first time offender. So here it is more stringent compared to your where we will discuss how is Supreme Court deciding whether a material is obscene or not. Look at this. See, when we say with regard to obscene content from very long, somewhere around 1920s, 1924, 1928 period of time also, there was a question. There was again a case that was raised on obscenity in your Europe, USA, India also it was coming. That came in the name of your Lady Charlotte's Lover, which was written by author D.H. Lawrence. Where in many countries, your UK, USA, India, everyone, this case become this particular will become very scandalous at that point of time, and this brought in cases where again they were telling that this was very obscene in nature. Based on this, in 1964, Supreme Court of India under section 292 of IPC held that this is obscene. At the same point of time, if you see, Both, like I mentioned, your UK, USA, India, all of them had went ahead with, okay, the concept of calling this as obscene based on a particular case. That was Queen versus Hicklin case, where they brought in the concept of Hicklin test to determine whether a content is obscene or not. Now, this Hicklin test, if you see, it is more of low ground common sub. It just puts a basic as to if it arouses certain feelings in you, then this will be put under this particular category. It was too more generalistic in nature. So based on that is where they could come up with your Lady Chatterley's lover case also, and they could define that it was obscene. Taking the same Hicklin test, look at this Hicklin test as a base, your Supreme Court in 1964, Ranjit D versus State of Maharashtra, this case they held that Lady Chatterley's lover is, okay, certain images or certain depiction are considered obscene. Now, after this was initially how they would determine whether the content is obscene or not. And they started deciding as to what will contribute to obscene. First and foremost thing, if it induces any feelings or lust for certain immoral activities. Again, the effect it has on young impressionable mind, plus on already someone who has these kind of feelings, that is who's already having these kind of impure thoughts, immoral activities, all of these things, this when left without check will accentuate this and they end up committing certain crimes of that order. Over the years, if you see now today also does UK, USA, India, everyone use Hicklin test only to determine obscene acts? No. After that, multiple changes and a lot of evolutions have taken place, where one example is your Roth versus United States case in USA, where they held that, see, first of all, to determine whether this particular, let's say, a material or a content, be it online or offline, whether a material or content is obscene or not, we will not consider it just based on one particular depiction. We will not consider it based on one particular passage or in one particular stance. Rather, we will take the entire material. We will look at the entire material, and then, let's say, I will take an example of an average person, and I will apply contemporary societal norms. Presently, how my society is and how for a normal person. Yeah, I will apply the rule that if for this average person, if he sees or looks at this material, that is applying the present time Kaira. While seeing that, will he feel aroused or lust or any of those things by reading that material or not? Will be my definition as to decide whether that material is obscene or not. Indian Supreme Court also follows this method of Roth versus United States, where this is followed in most countries, wherein they see or test the material to the evolving societal mores rather than looking at one single piece. That is, the Supreme Court had quashed the case based on your obscenity, and they started putting community standards test in determining whether a material is obscene or not. Again, in March 2024, a case was raised against a series called College Romance, which had multiple vulgar words, profanity. And so when the case was in front of Supreme Court to decide whether it was obscene or not, Supreme Court made a distinction that vulgar words, acts are separate from your obscenity, which means vulgar words and obscenity are separate things, where usage of this cannot be brought under obscenity if it just is not triggering any forms of lust. While if you look at a content and if it triggers any lust or any such kind of activities, then it comes under obscenity, whereas just mere usage of vulgar words cannot be put under this. Now in the present Ranveer Allahbadia case, they will have to determine, if we are going by the Roth versus United States case, then we will have to look into the entire content to determine whether this was vulgar or obscene. So entire content will be viewed and then the decision has to be taken if we are going by the Roth versus United States case. Yeah, that's it. We've reached the end of the content. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button and share it along with your friends. Thank you.